Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. Today we talk soccer, Rhode Island style, with my friend Kaba Juf, who's back. He's the owner of the Rhode Island Reds FC football club. It's been a while. Thank you for being back on the show.
Well, thank you, Sean. Thank you for for inviting us back. We're really happy to be here this year again.
We are going to talk about Rhode Island Reds, both men and women's team. But before we do that, since I have you on, Kaba, I'm going to start with a little world football, because I don't have anyone else to talk soccer with, so you're it, okay?
Absolutely.
I'm just going to jump all over the place. First, let's talk about the U.S. Men's national team. Slipping a little bit recently. Some people questioning Jurgen Klinsmann's tactics. Your thoughts on all that?
Well, I think they're slipping a little bit because he's also been trying some young players, which that's what you need to do if you really want to develop soccer. So, but they will come back. I'm pretty sure with the Copa America coming here, we'll see the team bounce back.
But they didn't make the they didn't make the Confederations Cup. They lost a couple of games to Mexico, and there were some iffy times there. And I know that they are going through changes, but like you said, young players. They got a couple of players now playing in the Bundesliga that seem to be doing well. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the growing pains of any team, and I think they're going through it. But they have a fantastic coach. They have a fantastic program, and the future is bright.
So you're not worried then?
No, I'm not worried at all. I'm not worried at all. It's just part of the game.
All right, let's go to England now. A story of the year, and I'm excited. I know you're a Man U guy, but you got to be happy about Leicester City.
I mean, it's really it's a Cinderella story. Really, they don't have any superstars playing for the team, but they play as a unit, which that's what every coach dreams of. So Leicester winning the, although I'm really not happy about it.
But you'd rather have them win it than Man City or Arsenal or Liverpool or something.
Obviously, Liverpool definitely not. Yeah. But obviously, definitely, I would rather have Leicester win it than Liverpool.
They beat Borussia Dortmund recently, right? In the was it the Europa League? Right?
The Europa League.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Liverpool.
Well, you can't just give them
any credit. I can't make any comments
credit
about Liverpool. Absolutely not.
So depending on when this airs, because they got like 3 or 4 games left, Leicester City, and Tottenham really is the only one that could catch them at this point.
Yes, and actually they have a game against Man U, I think, in the next couple of weeks coming along.
That's right.
I think right now really they have to just win maybe the last 3 games or so, and they're it. But Tottenham,
it's a great story, though, isn't it?
Tottenham is playing very well.
They are.
They had a tough beginning of the season, but right now they're playing very well.
If you're a neutral, I think you're really rooting for the underdog and you're rooting for Leicester City.
Absolutely. To be honest with you, I think they deserve it. I think they're the most consistent team in the EPL this year, and you have to give them credit for that.
Let's move over to Spain. What the heck's happening with Barcelona?
You know what? Yeah, it's just like the U.S. national team. This happens with soccer. I think Barcelona now, they're having difficulties. But they're one of the best teams in
They're
in
knocked
Spain.
out of the Champions League. They're tied with Atletico Madrid right now. They're 1 point ahead of Real Madrid. Anybody can win that league now.
Yeah, anybody can. And that's the good thing about it, because everybody thought this league was over. A month ago, everybody thought Barcelona was going to win it right out. Real Madrid was struggling. But now, at least, you're seeing other teams stepping up, and that's what everybody looks for. If you're a soccer fan, this is what you look for.
FIFA has a new president, no longer Seth Blatter. Your thoughts on that?
You know what? I think it's great. I think anytime that you have change in an organization like that had the same people running it for the past 30 years, it's always good things. Hopefully we'll get some good things and at least clean the mess that FIFA has right now.
And there's still a lot of messes to clean up, isn't
there?
Well,
there's a lot of mess in any sports organization, and hopefully FIFA will put this behind them, because the game is bigger than FIFA itself, or bigger than any personality.
All right, let's bring it back to Rhode Island. There's this team, the Rhode Island Reds. They have a men's team and a women's team. You're the owner, right?
Yes.
Tell me about them.
Well, I'm really excited. This was a dream of mine a couple of years ago, to really, offer the great state of Rhode Island an opportunity to play, at the semi-professional level. So the Rhode Island Reds, this is actually our fifth year. So we're excited about that. We play in the MPSL, which is the largest semi-professional soccer league in the country. We're in the 4th division of the U.S. soccer pyramid. We have about 83 teams throughout the country. So we play in the eastern region, and we play in the Atlantic Conference. So we are very excited. We play against teams like the New York Cosmos, their reserve team, Brooklyn Italians. If you know about the U.S. Open Cup or any amateur sports, they are really one of the best amateur teams around. We also have Seacoast Phantoms, Seacoast Mariners out of Maine. And we now have a new team out of Boston called Boston City FC, and also Lowell United and New York Athletic Club.
So they join the league or this region?
Yeah, so they join the league and they're part of our conference. So it's very exciting. And we also have Kingston out of Kingston, New York. That's also a new team. So, the league is getting bigger, is getting more exciting, is getting more competitive, so which is good for soccer in the U.S.
So these other new teams that have come into the league, did they see what you saw 5 years ago or so, where you said there's some potential here for some growth and soccer is getting, people are getting more into it and I want to get in on this?
Oh, absolutely. I'm just talking about the East Coast here. I mean, we've had teams in Arkansas, in Wichita, Kansas. Really, we've had so much growth, throughout the country. It's just unbelievable. So that tells you about the growth of the game itself, but also about, really, the opportunity to give young people an opportunity to really play at a high level. And I think that's what this league does. One of the exciting things, I was involved in actually in our combine this year. And out of the combine so far, 7 kids that were part of that combine from the East Coast got signed to a professional level.
Nice.
So that's what we're all trying to do, is really to help these kids play at the next level.
Another exciting thing this year, you have a new home that you play, right?
Yes.
You're playing at Brown University.
Yes, we're very excited. We played there last year. They're a great school. They've been very supportive. So we're excited to have Brown University as our home field, and also that's where we practice too.
And it also puts you in a little bit more of the heart of Rhode Island, downtown, Providence right there.
Yep.
And so conceivably more people can come to the games and have access to it, right?
Yes, it's a great location. It's right in the middle of the city. People from Attleboro, Seekonk, everybody can really come to that field easily. And also, that community there, Brown is a big soccer community. The school is a Division I school, and they have a great program that they run. So it's just, for us, it's a win-win situation.
Now, did you, because you got so heavily, and things are going so well, did you have to step away from the coaching a little bit more?
Yes. I actually had to step out from the coaching a little bit more, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. And I hired what I call the Dean of Soccer, in Rhode Island to come in and actually help, take the game.
Is he the Dean or the Godfather of soccer?
Well, you can use the Dean or the Godfather.
Okay.
He's been around Rhode Island soccer for a long time, and he's been very successful. And if I was going to give the team to anybody, I think, this is the caliber of a coach that I would want to come in and actually take the Rhode Island Reds to the next level. The same thing with the women's too. We've done a little bit transition with the women's to bring really a coach that will also take the women's team to the next level. So we're excited. We are very excited for this year. We've had tryouts, and we've had about 100 people show up to tryouts.
When does the season start?
Our first game of the season is going to be May 14th, and we will play against Lowell United, which is a rivalry. It's Rhode Island against Massachusetts, so we're excited, very excited for the season.
And you go on the road, but they're basically just like little bus trips, right?
Yes, we go on the road. They're mostly bus trips. The farthest we'll go basically this year probably would be Brooklyn Italians.
Okay.
And then we'll go to a little bit upstate New York with Kingston.
How come Mario doesn't coach the Brooklyn Italians? We'll get into that next.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to throw out a very unlikely scenario, but it's physically and mathematically possible. You just mentioned earlier the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah.
A team from your league can play in the U.S. Open Cup. Let's just say it's the Rhode Island Reds, okay?
Yes.
Let's say you play it and you win it. But that means you beat some MLS teams to get there. If you win that, you are qualified for the CONCACAF Champions League, correct?
Yes.
You play that, which is usually won by Mexican teams, Liga MX teams, but let's say you win that, okay? Then you are qualified for the FIFA Club World Cup, which means you could play against teams like Barcelona, well, not this year, but like Bayern Munich. So the Rhode Island Reds could conceivably play against Bayern Munich at some point in the future.
You know what? That's what the dream. That's what the dream is.
I'm just telling you that mathematically it's possible.
It's possible, and that's why we're into this.
Or maybe better yet, Manchester United. How would you handle that if your team had to play them?
Well, that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely be for the Rhode Island Reds. I'll just have to not sleep at night, but I'll definitely be for the Rhode Island Reds.
I just want to travel up the road a little bit, up to Boston, and just talk about the Revolution for just a second. If they could conceivably have a stadium like more in downtown Boston proper, I think that with the large college crowd that's in Boston, the large international crowd that's in Boston, the greater Boston, they could conceivably be like a top 5 team as far as attendance goes if they had a stadium up there. Do you agree?
Well, I agree, but at the same time, too, I think having the field at Foxborough close to Rhode Island and Connecticut.
Okay, so you're also self-interest right there.
Yeah, so also it's a big plus.
But for me too, driving up there.
Up there, and also there's a big soccer community in southern New England.
You're right.
I would not, at the end of the day, I think the club is going to do what's in the best interest of the club.
Right.
But I think, they have a big support base in New England. So either staying in Foxborough or going to Boston would still benefit them, as a team.
I want to get up to Brown. I want to get up to a game, guys and girls games, and just experience it because I haven't had a chance to do that. I hope I can.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The schedule is already up online. Is the www.redsfc.com, RhodeIslandReds.com.
We're going to put a graphic up on the screen too.
Excellent.
So even though you're like, well, spelling with that too.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing a few minutes with us. We're looking forward to the start of the season. And who's coming up next as far as our guests go?
Next, we'll have Rhea Carroll,
Okay.
who's the head coach of the women's team. And after Rhea, we'll have Mario Pereira, who is the head coach of the men's team.
The
so
Godfather.
I'm excited. The Godfather of
I
soccer.
made that. Nobody else was calling him that. I call him that.
Yes.
Kaba Juf, owner of the Rhode Island Reds men and women's teams. Thanks for being on for a few minutes.
Thank you, Sean.
We'll take a short break and come right back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay right there. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. It's soccer talk today with our friends from Rhode Island Reds. We have the head coach or the manager from the women's team, Rhode Island Reds, Rhea Carroll. It's her first time on the show. Welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. She was telling me off the air she's British, but she has zero accent too. So you obviously have a Premier League favorite team then too, right?
I do.
Who's that?
Manchester United.
Oh,
Also.
you say that
That's
because
not because of
that's
Kaba.
Kaba. It is. That's
Ever
the reason
since I was little, that's who I've always grown up with. My dad's always been a fan. Whenever we go back and visit, we go visit the old stomping grounds. And
we have someone here who just went over to visit. Our station manager went to go visit. Now, my director and me, Aaron and me, we decided that, if we were going to have a Premier League team, who would it be? And I told this story to Kaba the last time he was on. We happen to be Boston Red Sox fans, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happens that the owner of that team owns a Premier League team, and it happens to be Liverpool. So, yeah. So there you go. This interview is over. No. So tell me about the women's Rhode Island Reds. They've been playing for a couple of seasons now?
yeah, we've been playing for a few seasons now. This is my first year as head coach. We are bringing in some new players this year, as well as some old players. We open up on May 14th. We've just finished with a few of our tryouts, the first few tryouts, so we're cutting down the roster a bit as we go. About to stabilize the roster and hopefully come out ready for our first game and get into some practices so we can come out and win our first game.
Now, the way that the season starts in May, is it done that way on purpose so that when kids are getting out of college, they can kind of segue right into this team and this league?
Yeah. April 28th is actually the deadline that we're working with right now, where kids come out of their college season and they can start practicing with us. So after that point, we'll have them full-time, and hopefully most of them are still in shape.
Yeah.
So that's also a bonus point, too, because they're still working out with their college teams, and they're still playing, so they're getting that repetition, and they'll come in and just hopefully transition very nicely into the team.
Can you become that unfit from the time you stop playing college soccer to the time you? Yeah. Apparently, Yeah.
Yeah, living proof.
Yeah.
It depends on how much work they put into it, but I find majority of them they want to keep that level of fitness. So most of them are working out on their own and getting the work in outside of the season.
Well, can they play in this league on this team and still? Do they have to be graduated from college already?
Nope.
Okay, so they can still
as long as
play.
they're out of their spring season,
Okay.
then they can come with us, and then it doesn't run into their season. We're done hopefully later in July.
Right,
Making
playoffs,
some
right?
Going for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then their season will pick up in August.
How'd you do last year, by the way?
Not as good as we had hoped.
Yeah.
But this year we're gonna top that.
You mentioned you. What's your background? Because you talked about you being out of shape for a minute, too.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I've been out of college for 10 years now. I played at URI. I also played in New York for a year. After that, I played which is the equivalent to the Reds now. Back then it was the Stingrays. I played with them for a few years.
Tell me about one thing that you have to be very excited about is the exceptional play and success of the women's national team in this country. And if it does nothing else, success breeds success. It breeds excitement. It breeds younger girls wanting to get involved in soccer, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, you can see it picking up as the women's team gets better and better, and they've become this powerhouse for certain amount of time, it's giving exposure to girls soccer. It's making kids want to come out and play. You know, I've seen growth just even in Rhode Island, the growth of women's soccer and the passion that these people are picking up on it. I mean, they're getting full houses for their games where before you never even really saw that stuff for women's soccer. So it's bringing a lot of good press.
Why is the U.S. Team so good in women's soccer? I mean, there are other good teams around the country, but why do they just keep dominating?
I mean, it's been around a little bit longer for the women. Other places are starting to pick up on it. I think the work ethic and the things that we have available, the technology we have available, I think that all helps, you know, and the struggle to try to compete with the boys always.
There's a legitimate women's professional league around the country now, and that's a big deal too, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. I've played against a bunch of the women that play in it. I almost was going to play, but chose a career instead. But, you know, it's great. I mean, seeing all my friends succeed at that level and, you know, just watching, even now that I'm older, kids that I've coached, you know, work to get to that level, it's a great feeling.
You know how you can tell women's soccer is successful in this country when they start including women's teams in the video games, and they did this past year.
They did.
They did 12 teams, and they're going to add to that this next year, too. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, not that I'm a huge fan of video games, but I mean,
but
yeah.
I don't play, so that's what I play.
Hey,
you know?
you got to get the exposure somehow.
So there you go, take it, right?
Yeah.
Your thoughts, if you don't mind, on a couple of issues that have come up with the national team, like for example, them having to play on turf most of the stadiums in the Women's World Cup. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, in college, I played at URI, and I considered that to be one of the best grass fields I've ever played on. So I'm more partial to the grass, but I mean, to each his own. Everybody has their different perspectives on turf, grass. You know, it's all prerogative and what certain people like. It's a faster game on turf versus a more natural bounce on grass, you know, so to each his own, I guess.
All right, one more thing. We'll get back to the Reds. The recent thing about the women and the equal pay and all that. I had to ask you about that. You don't have to answer any special way just because Cobb is still sitting in the studio.
You know, I think their record speaks for themselves. Their statistics speaks for themselves. I think we're in a time now where your pay should be based on equality and not based on anything else. And they've been, like I said, a powerhouse for so many years. They're bringing in the money, so you're going to get what you deserve.
There you go. Good job. All right, one more time. When is opening day for you? When's the first game?
May 14th.
All right, and people can go to the website and learn more, get tickets, all that stuff, right?
Yep.
We'll put the graphic up on the screen, too. You know the website?
Check us out on Facebook, RI Reds FC.
No, that's an important thing, too. Social media is so important, not just the website. So go there, too, because that's where the people are at, really, right, too?
Yeah.
All right. Rhea Carroll, manager, head coach, women's team for Rhode Island Reds. Thanks for spending a few minutes. It wasn't as bad as you thought it was.
It wasn't as bad as I thought.
We'll take one more break and come right back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay there. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My final guest on this soccer show is the manager of the men's Rhode Island Reds team. And I've been calling him the Godfather. As it turns out, he's Portuguese, right? So Mario Pereira, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate it.
And since you are Portuguese, we'll stay on world football for a second here. You're a Benfica fan, right?
Yes, at heart.
So they don't really show any of their games. You can't really watch too many of them, right?
Yeah, but when you're a diehard, you get those
Satellite
stations that can still catch them on a weekly basis. And
yeah,
living in the Portuguese community, you're always, competitive with the opposition.
So Caba speaks highly of you in your. I want to get into your history a little bit because you are Mr. Soccer forever. So talk about your past. However far back you want to go.
Well, it's a bad reputation to start by saying you're old. But I'm honored to be in charge of the Reds team. I got to thank Caba for reaching out to me, and I look at it as a great challenge, just another challenge down the road. I started soccer a long, long time ago. I played at URI, and from there I played with a team end for a little bit. I wasn't a great player or anything, but I got the opportunity to see things at the professional level when Pele was here and Beckenbauer back in the day, and I fell in love with the game. Began to play semi-professional soccer and just gravitated to coaching. I was very fortunate. People go through soccer and don't have the opportunity to play with great coaches. I was fortunate throughout my youth years, throughout my college career, throughout my professional career. I had some great coaches that I used as great role models, and I think I really took a lot from them, and I'm glad that it's been part of what I do.
You know, you said that you weren't that great of a player back in your playing days. Sometimes I think not so great players end up becoming good or great coaches because the great players are kind of concentrate on their playing career a little bit and they don't think ahead about what comes after their playing days. But you are kind of studying the game a little bit more at your level and you end up becoming a coach and a great coach.
Yeah, it's about, like coaching is you have to have it in your heart, and it's not always about winning and losing. You reach out to people, you meet great people in the world. Soccer, from a managerial standpoint, is very gratifying. It's not a win. It can be a loss. It can be the fact that one of your players did something great in life. To be able to touch these people that are very positive, it's been great. My coaching career started at Brown University, so I was very involved with a lot of positive people.
You did a lot of so you stayed local, Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah,
right, for the most part?
my dad died when I was very young, and I made a commitment to my children, and I wasn't prepared to do a lot of the traveling, be on the road all the time. I wanted to be a father. I wanted to be someone that was there, and I was very fortunate to be able to coach my own kids throughout their childhood, so it was a lot of fun.
Since you have been in soccer for a while, back in your early days, the public American perception of soccer has really changed. I think it's really become more accepted now in society. Your thoughts on that?
You know, since I came to this country, I came over when I was 9 years old. I've always heard the comment of the next 10 years. And the next 10 years.
Yes, that's so true, especially when a World Cup comes through.
Unfortunately, it's really not the next 10 years. I think it's when we start seeing generations, when my children have children and their kids become involved in the game of soccer. We have generations. This is what we're fighting with. We're fighting against other generations and other communities and other countries that have been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years.
And for Americans, it's not a homegrown sport, so sometimes they just don't adopt it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's still the fifth sport on the road. But from a participation standpoint, when you have 50,000 kids playing in this little small state of Rhode Island, and you get to see all these incredible tournaments, and you get to see all these kids playing all over the country, I mean, it's taken over. Slowly, we're starting to get those Derek Jeters, those really good athletes, into the soccer field as opposed to the baseball diamond. So,
well, that's a perfect example. When I was a kid, I mean, you could play soccer, but obviously kids gravitated more toward Little League more. Nowadays, I would argue, they probably choose soccer, maybe even more so than baseball now, at the young level.
Yeah, at the young level. And I think that also something else that's happening is we're starting to learn that we have to specialize.
Right.
If you're born in Argentina, you're going to be a soccer player. That decision's been made for you. In this country, we let the kids do a lot of different things when they're young, and now they realize that once they start getting to what they really love when they're 12 years old, they begin to really specialize and gravitate to that one sport. You can't compete at the highest level when you're doing too much.
And now that some other sports, like for example football, mothers and parents are getting concerned about concussion issues and something, maybe they'll be swayed away from football a little bit, maybe towards soccer.
Yeah, I think that concussion is more apparent to everyone in every sport.
Yeah.
I don't think that years ago people even thought that there were concussions involved in soccer, but I certainly have had a few, I'm sure, undiagnosed. But from heading the ball or just getting a knock or whatever, it happens. Now we're a little bit more professional and a little more conscientious about the proper recovery and the time that it takes to come back, and you can recover from it. It's just that in the professional level, when you're trying to make a living, I think they're rushing them too fast. They're trying to get them on the field, and it causes the problems later on in life.
Before we run out of time, let's talk about your team upcoming season. What are you hoping for? What are your expectations?
Well, my expectations obviously is to win the world.
So go play that Bayern Munich team, right?
Yeah. So I want to be able to go out and do the best that I can with what I have. I'm taking my time looking at the right players, trying to mix the right kind of formation plays, because this league doesn't give us the opportunity to go away to a hot climate for a month and a half and do our preseason.
Yeah.
We have to mix some players that are extremely fit, like Rhea said. Having the college player on your team is phenomenal because, first of all, we can get them ready for the fall, but at the same time, they can help us because not only do they understand the game, know the game, they're well coached because they come from really good soccer programs.
And they're fit,
But they're fit.
Yeah.
I could play the game. In my mind, I could do anything. But with my body, it's just going to tell me no way.
Opening day, first game again?
May 14th. I believe at 6:15 at Brown University, and it'll be our first test.
Come on out. Going to be a great time. Website one more time for people to go to.
Our website is RhodeIslandReds.com.
Mario Pereira, head coach, or you're like manager or head coach better.
Head coach.
Red, you know, this is going to be an exciting time for the Rhode Island Reds, and I look forward to having everybody come out there. I hope everybody gets out there. I will try to, too. Thank you, sir, for spending a few minutes with us on the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And that is our soccer show for today. You can see this show and many others on our YouTube site. Till next time, I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Take care.